I thought leaving her with my mother would be safe. Just an hour, that's all. I was gone for 10 minutes. Maybe 15. I come back and the first thing I see is her, soaked, shivering, alone, on the porch. Mom? My voice cracked. Why is she wet? She seeps fine. Mom didn't even look up from her knitting. Her voice was soft, lazy, like she was brushing off dust. Kids get wet sometimes. I froze. My hands trembled. Fine? She seeps crying. Look at her. She'll be okay, Mom repeated, shrugging. She set the knitting aside, finally meeting my eyes. But it wasn't concern I saw. It was annoyance. I dropped my bag, knelt next to my daughter, and felt the cold seep through her tiny clothes, her hair plastered to her forehead, eyes wide and panicked. Mommy, Mommy, she whispered. My chest tightened, rage and helplessness collided in a way that stole my breath. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't set. My voice caught in my throat. How could you just leave her out here, in the rain? I didn't think it was a big deal, Mom said, casually like we were discussing the weather. A laugh bubbled out of me, bitter and short. Not a big deal? She steps four. She trusts you, and you just leave her. She sits fine, I said. Kids are tougher than you think. I shook my head, backing away slightly, but my eyes never left my daughter. She was small, trembling, hands wringing her soaked dress. My stomach twisted. No, she seps not fine. She seps terrified. She seps betrayed. Mom rolled her eyes. You stead are overreacting. I step been around kids longer than you step been alive. 1 hour in the rain, she stead'll live. I felt my hands clench into fists. It step's not about living, it step's about trust. She trusted you, and you let her down. Mom sighed, looking away. You worry too much. She steps crying, yes, but she sets'll forget. Kids always forget. I swallowed hard. I wanted to hit something. I wanted to shake her until she understood the weight of what she had done, but I stayed on my knees, gripping my daughter close, shivering together in the cold. You don't get it. She won forget. She won and I can forgive this so easily. She sips your child, Mom muttered. Not mine. I did nothing wrong. That line hit me like a punch. Nothing wrong. Nothing. She'd left a tiny human being alone in the rain, and somehow in her mind that counted as nothing. I held my daughter tighter, her sobs quieted into soft hiccups, leaning into me. My heart was breaking for both of us. I looked at Mom, and for the first time I saw the betrayal clearly. It wasn't carelessness. It wasn't a mistake. It was disregard. Pure disregard. Go inside, I whispered to my daughter. It seps okay. I seps him here. She looked at me with those trusting eyes, the same ones that had lit up when I kissed her goodnight hours ago. And I swore I'd never let anyone, not even Mom, hurt that trust again. That night, I lay awake, guilt gnawing at me, not for leaving her with my mother. I knew better than that now, but for thinking she'd be safe. Haunted by every drop of rain that had fallen on her tiny head. Haunted by the memory of her trembling hands, the wet hair plastered to her face, the betrayal shining in my mother's indifferent eyes. Anger pulsed through me, slow and steady. It was raw, hot, electric. I didn't know what to do with it yet. I only knew this: I couldn't let this pass. I wouldn't. And somewhere deep in the night, I made a promise, not to her, not to Mom, though she deserved it, but to myself. I would never let anyone treat my daughter or me like this again. Revenge was coming. I didn't know how, but it was coming. Days passed, or maybe hours. Time didn't exist. Only her, only the ache in my chest. I hugged her tighter every morning, whispered words she barely heard. It's okay. Mommy's here. My voice trembled, but she didn't seem to notice. She just stared back at me with those quiet, questioning eyes. Why is Grandma mad at you, Mommy? She asked one evening, voice small, almost a whisper. I froze. Her words hit like a knife. She's not mad at me, baby. Just busy, I said, forcing a smile I didn't feel. Her little brow furrowed. She didn't take care of me. Why? I swallowed. My throat felt raw. She made a mistake, sweetie. It's not your fault. She looked away, fiddling with the hem of her dress. I wanted to scoop her up, shield her from the world. But even in my arms, I felt powerless. Rage churned beneath my skin, heavy and bitter. The phone rang. Again. And again. Each ring twisted my stomach. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Abdul, honey. It sups fine. Everything sups fine. Dawn said overthink. Her voice. Mom's voice. Calm. Calculated. Like she hadn't left my daughter alone in the rain at all. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell her she had no idea what she'd done, but I didn't. I let it ring. I let it torture me. At work, I flinched at every sound. A pen dropped. My heart jumped. Someone laughed too loudly. I winced. Every small irritation became unbearable. Concentration? Impossible. My mind replayed that porch scene endlessly. Water dripping from her hair, tiny trembling hands, the betrayal shining in her frightened eyes. Mommy, the voice echoed in my mind even when I wasn't home. I felt her trust being built and broken, all in the same moment, and I realized something terrifying. I couldn't forgive, not yet, maybe not ever. Night fell. We sat on the couch, her leaning against me. I rubbed her back in silence. You stare. Safe, I whispered. I still never let anyone hurt you like that again. She sniffled. But, Grandma, she said it sups fine. I froze. The words were simple, innocent, but they were poison to me. Fine? I echoed, voice low. You think the fine sept covers being left alone, crying in the rain. She looked up at me, eyes wide. She said it sups okay. My stomach twisted. My hands clenched into fists. It sups not okay, not ever. My voice broke. Do you hear me? Never. Not her, not anyone. Only I will protect you. The silence that followed was heavy. My daughter didn't answer. She just leaned into me, her trust still intact, fragile as glass. I kissed the top of her head, feeling the weight of my anger settle deeper into my bones. Days blended into nights. I avoided Mom, though she called constantly, pretending everything was fine, smiling through the phone, laughing lightly, acting like the storm she caused didn't exist. Every call made my stomach twist into knots. Why one stet you answer me? I step your mother. I didn't respond. Couldn't. Not yet. My daughter's needs had to come first. Her safety. Her trust. My broken heart could wait. Sometimes I caught glimpses of myself in the mirror. Hollow eyes. Pale skin. Stiff movements. Numb. Confused. But inside, something was stirring. Something sharp. Something unyielding. I realized I had changed. I couldn't let anyone, Mom or anyone else, cross the line again. Not with her. Not with me. One night, I whispered into the dark almost to myself, I once sut forget. I can sut forget. And I once sut forgive easily. Maybe, not at all. Her little hand found mine. Mommy? Yes? Baby? I'm scared. I held her closer. I know. Me too. And yet, even as I whispered the words, a spark flickered in me, a dangerous, beautiful spark. The betrayal had planted it, the storm of silence had nurtured it. Something had shifted. I wasn't just broken. I wasn't just hurt. I was waking, watching, learning, preparing. I would protect her. That was the promise. And when the time came, she would see that betrayal has a price. For now I held her, rocked her, whispered over and over, you sups safe. I sups same here, always. But deep down, under the ache and numbness, I felt the first tendrils of power coil inside me. Cold, patient, relentless. The storm of silence was over. The storm inside me was just beginning. I started paying attention, not in a casual way, not like, oh, maybe she's careless again. No, I studied her. Every word, every movement, every shrug. It began small, a text saved, a conversation recorded, a picture snapped on my phone, hidden, silent, invisible. One evening, I whispered to my best friend Lena while we sat in my living room, coffee cooling between us. I think she seps not just careless, she seps selfish, dangerous to anyone who trusts her. Lena Sep's brow furrowed. Abdul, you such are letting this eat you alive. Maybe you should step back. No, I said, my voice low, steady like iron. I can stet, not when it seps her, and not with my daughter. She shook her head. Obsessing one stet fix it. It stet ruin you. I laughed, bitter, sharp. Maybe, but its sup's already ruined, and I need to know the truth. All of it, every word, every gesture, every lie. I started tracking her movements subtly. At first, just watching when she left the house, noting the time, but soon it escalated. I saved texts, screenshots, photos of her carelessly tossing groceries in the car, notes of her words, casual dismissals like kids don't matter or they'll be fine. Every dismissive phrase became proof. Every shrug, evidence. Every it's nothing became the story of her indifference. One night, I confronted her, holding my phone like a weapon. "Mom, what's this?" I asked, voice trembling with cold fury, a text she had sent to her friend, laughing about leaving my daughter in the rain. Mom Sip's face went pale, eyes narrowing. That Sip's taken out of context. Out of context? I spat, heart hammering. You left a 4-year-old in the rain and called it nothing, and now you joke about it. I don't know what to say. She looked away, trying to regain control, but I saw the hesitation, the panic. I savored it quietly, not loudly, not chaotic, just precise. At work, I pieced together her history. Not just with me, with others. Friends, cousins, even her colleagues. She treated people like inconveniences. Family like a burden, patterns emerged, clear as glass. I saved everything. Screenshots, photos, timestamps, conversations. Notes in my phone, meticulously organized, a timeline of negligence. Selfishness. Indifference. Every detail sharpened my anger. Cold, calculated, unyielding. Lena noticed the shift. One evening she said, "Abdul, you're turning into a detective, a vigilante. Are you sure this is healthy?" I looked at her, eyes dark. Healthy? Maybe not. Necessary? Absolutely. I can undo what she steps done, but I can make sure she never forgets it. Never. Ever. She sighed, exasperated. You supped her already obsessed. Maybe, I admitted quietly, but obsession keeps me awake, keeps me alert, keeps me ready. I started documenting in real time. Calls logged, conversations recorded discreetly, photos of her leaving my daughter alone for brief moments, gestures of indifference captured, little pieces of a puzzle forming a portrait of someone I'd once trusted with my life. Mom called again one afternoon, her tone syrupy, mocking. "Abdul, relax. You're reading too much into things." I stared at the phone. My finger hovered over the record button. Relax? You don't get it. I not relaxing. I watching, listening, saving, everything. And you giving me all the proof I need. There was a pause on the line. I could hear her breathe, trying to remain calm, trying to manipulate. I didn't answer. I just hung up. I realized then that this wasn't about yelling, or confrontation, or chaos. It was about strategy, precision, quiet, unrelenting power. Each saved text, each photo, each note was ammunition. I could feel it growing inside me. Not explosive, not violent, cold, sharp, patient, waiting. One night, I sat with my daughter, showing her a drawing she had made. "See this?" I asked softly. "Mommy is keeping you safe, always." She smiled, little teeth shining, oblivious to the storm brewing behind my eyes, and I kissed her forehead, feeling the seed of revenge root deeper in my chest. For her, for us, for the trust that had been shattered. I realized the obsession wasn't just mine. It was ours. A shield, a weapon, a promise that no one, not even Mom, could cross the line again. And as I compiled the timeline, each incident more damning than the last, my anger transformed, not chaotic fire, not blind rage, cold calculation, a storm of patience, gathering quietly, building pressure. Every word from Mom became a weapon in my hands, every careless act a key to unlocking justice. I finally whispered into the dark, alone in my apartment. "This isn't set revenge yet, not fully, but it will be. And when it comes, it's subtle, be precise, perfect, silent, painful." I leaned back, staring at the screen filled with evidence. Screenshots, photos, notes, a map of betrayal, a blueprint of selfishness. Every corner, every line, carefully plotted. The seed had grown, and it would bloom, slowly, quietly, deadly. I wasn't just angry anymore. I was ready. I smiled quietly to myself the moment I hung up the phone with my bank. No confrontation, no dramatic announcements, no threats, just action. I had frozen her access. Every account she had been using freely, allowances, shared funds, everything, locked, invisible, untouchable. It was satisfying in a way nothing else had been. Pure, silent, absolute. The first call came that evening. My phone buzzed and I saw her name. Mom. My chest tightened, but I didn't answer immediately. I let it ring. Abdul? Hello? Pick up. Her voice came, panicked, clipped. I answered slowly, deliberately, letting her hear the calm in my tone. Yes. There was a pause, then a breath. What? SIP's going on. I tried to, my card, SIP's not working. What did you do? I let a faint smile creep into my voice. I didn't set do anything. Maybe it set us just a bank error. Her voice pitched higher, trembling. A bank error. I can stet pay bills. I can stet access the funds. You have to fix this. I stayed silent for a beat. Enjoyed it. Felt the thrill of quiet control. Then I said, soft, precise. I am sure the bank will sort it out. You shall get your funds eventually. There was a pause on her end. Then panic replaced charm. Abdul, please. Don't set do this. You don't set understand. I cut her off. I understand perfectly. You Seb had years of access, free use without thinking. Maybe now, it's steps time to see what it feels like to be denied. Her voice cracked, a note of guilt creeping in. I didn't stet mean. No excuses, I said firm. No justification for how you Seb treated me. She tried the guilt approach. You stepped you're overreacting. I step your mother, I step always provided. I let a soft laugh escape, bitter, low. Provided, you left a 4-year-old in the rain, and now you want sympathy, because the bank account is frozen. I think not. The line went quiet for a moment, then she whispered, trembling, please don't set make this personal. We can talk. Talk, I echoed. You think a conversation will erase years of neglect? Years of selfishness? No, Mom. This is action, consequence. Her voice rose, frantic. You can sit do this. You sit ruin me. I kept my tone calm, deliberate, cold. I already feel the ruin, Mom. Every day I watched you brush off her safety. Every day I saw you treat trust like a joke. This is just reality catching up with you. I heard her inhale sharply. The charm, the manipulation, the casual dismissal, they were all gone, replaced by raw panic. Abdul, I pull fix it. I can pay you back. We can. I interrupted gently, like a teacher correcting a student. You don't stet get it. This isn't stet about money. This is about power, and right now the power is mine. I hung up. My hand lingered on the phone, savoring the tension. The storm in me pulsed, sharp, controlled, satisfying. Later I called my lawyer, quietly. I want everything in order. Documents, permissions, legal boundaries. I need this airtight. The lawyer Sep's voice was calm, professional. Are you sure? She Sep's your mother. This is extreme. Extreme? I repeated. My voice quiet, steady. Neglect is extreme. Betrayal is extreme. Leaving a child in the rain. Brushing it off. Thinking it's Sep's nothing, that's Sep's extreme. I Sepsham just balancing the scales. I paused. Every move calculated. Not chaotic, not vengeful in the traditional sense. Precise, strategic, quiet, painful. The lawyer agreed, though hesitantly. I understand. You Sups you're making a point without harming her physically. I still prepare the legal framework. She once sit touch the funds again without your oversight. Perfect. Exactly as planned. That night, I sat with my daughter holding her close. She leaned against me, unaware of the storm I stet unleashed. Mommy, why is Grandma upset? I kissed her head, soft. She Seps learning, baby. She Seps learning what it means to hurt someone she loves. Her eyes widened. Is she mad at me? I hugged her tighter. Never at you, only at the mistakes she made. The line between satisfaction and morality blurred, but I didn't care. This wasn't cruelty. This was justice. Quiet, clean, efficient. I watched her sleep that night, and felt a shift inside me, something powerful, cold, patient. strategic. The thrill of the first strike was intoxicating. I realized something crucial. Power isn't loud. It's not chaos. It's control. Subtle, perfectly placed. Mom would wake up tomorrow, try to swipe her card, check accounts, panic, and all I would have to do is watch. Wait, let her feel the consequence. Not a scream, not a confrontation, not a fight, just realization. I whispered into the dark, almost to myself, this is the beginning. Every action has a reaction. Every betrayal has a cost. And it starts with this. No more warnings. No more empty threats. No more ignoring the past. The first strike was made. Quiet. Invisible. Deadly in its simplicity. And in that silence, I felt it fully, the seed of revenge, planted, taking root, spreading quietly through every corner of my mind. I smiled in the dark. Power. Calculated. Mine. I saw it the moment she answered my call. Not the panic in her voice, she'd mastered that, but the tiny tremor beneath the carefully crafted charm. Abdul, what is this? Why is my account? I let her sputter, let the fear spill naturally. I didn't need to push. She was unraveling on her own. At first it was subtle, a snide comment to my siblings. I suppose I have to tighten my belt now, such hardship isn't that it? My sister replied, sharp, curious. Mom, what's going on? Why are you panicking? And just like that, the cracks widened. I watched from the sidelines, careful, quiet. My phone buzzed constantly with screenshots of her passive-aggressive messages, the tiny barbs she sent to family and friends. The carefully polished persona, the one that made everyone believe she had everything under control, was splintering. I don't need this lecture from you, she texted my brother. I can manage perfectly well on my own, she added later. But even in her defiance, I saw the tremor, the guilt, the helplessness she tried to hide. One evening, my sister called me, Abdul, Mom Seps, she Seps panicking. She sent me a list of bills she can Sept pay, and she Seps blaming everyone but herself. I smiled quietly, cold satisfaction pulsing in my chest. I spem watching, I whispered. She spends finally seeing the weight of her actions. My daughter curled against me that night, oblivious, small hands clutching at my shirt. I kissed her hair and whispered, this is justice, baby. Quiet, precise, hers to feel. But even as satisfaction bloomed, guilt crept in. I wondered quietly in the dark, am I becoming her? The next morning, I saw the cracks in person. Mom stormed into the living room, face tight, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Abdul, are you enjoying this? You've turned everything upside down. Her voice trembled, though she tried to mask it with anger. I didn't respond immediately. I let her speak, let her fumble, let her desperation hang in the air. I Seps, worked my whole life, and this is how you treat me. You freeze my accounts. You spy. You... Mom, I said softly, my tone cutting through her fury like glass. This is instead about punishment. This is about consequence. About learning what it feels like when trust is broken. Her eyes flickered with something between fear and recognition. She tried to charm, tried to guilt. I stemped your mother. I raised you. Don't sit do this. I let her words fall, meaningless. I had no reaction, just silence. The quiet hung heavy in the room, the kind that screamed louder than any shout. Even my siblings began noticing. My brother Sep's brow furrowed. Mom, what Sep's happening? You seem vulnerable, scared. She shot back, flustered. I Sep'm fine, everything Sep's fine. You just don't yet understand. But the cracks were visible. The careful mask, the smile that once hid her selfishness and arrogance, was chipped. The world began to see her dependence, her panic, the guilt she couldn't mask. And I watched silently, savoring every detail, not with glee exactly, not like I wanted her pain for its own sake, but with the cold satisfaction of balance. The scales tipping slowly. Still, guilt gnawed at me. In the mirror, I saw the same intensity, the same obsession. I was manipulating, controlling, punishing. I caught myself in the act, thinking, am I becoming her? I sat with my daughter later, brushing her hair back. It's Sep's hard to see justice unfold quietly, I whispered. Even when it's Sep's deserved, it doesn't step feel clean. She smiled, innocent, trusting. I held her close, letting her warmth remind me why I did this. For her, not me. Mom's messages continued, increasingly erratic, passive-aggressive jabs, desperate attempts to charm. Each one revealed more of her unraveling mind. Abdul, you shall regret this. I hope you such are happy with your choices. I can fix it. We can talk. I swear. Please. I read them slowly, letting each syllable land, each word sharpen the edges of my satisfaction. The realization hit me. Power doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be violent. It is in the control, the precision, the quiet orchestration of consequence. By the end of the week, even my siblings were speaking cautiously around her. The fear of exposure, the sudden awareness of vulnerability, it was changing the dynamics in subtle ways. And I, quietly watched the dominoes fall. Every flinch, every tremor, every unguarded word was confirmation. I had orchestrated this first shift. The cracks were visible now to everyone. That night, I sat with my daughter, whispering softly over the blanket she clutched. This is balance, baby. You shall never be left alone. You shall never be disregarded. And those who think they can hurt us, they shall learn. Guilt remained, but it was tempered by purpose. I wasn't just angry anymore. I was intentional. I was in control, and I understood fully that the slow unraveling of someone who had caused so much pain could be its own form of poetry. I looked at the phone, Mom's frantic messages glowing on the screen. A faint cold smile tugged at my lips. The cracks appeared, and now they were widening. And I would watch quietly, patiently. I arrived at the gathering with my daughter clinging to my hand, her small fingers trembling. I told her it was just a family dinner, but inside I already knew this night would be anything but ordinary. The chatter was light at first. Small talk, laughs, empty pleasantries. Then Uncle Jamal cleared his throat. I was thinking about the Sharma wedding. His words fell like stones. I froze. My mother Sep's smile faltered. Remember how she insisted everyone sit on one side, leaving cousins out, he continued. And then she made sure her favorite nieces got the best rooms. I glanced at my mother. She looked caught. For the first time, her armor cracked. What are you talking about? She snapped, voice tight. I stayed silent. My daughter's eyes were wide, curious. I squeezed her hand, letting her feel my heartbeat. Steady, calm. Don Set played dumb, Aisha, Aunt Farah said, leaning forward. Everyone remembers how you spread that rumor about Ryan so he wouldn't set get the promotion, and then you acted shocked when he was passed over. A dagger, straight to the chest. I could see my mother's facade wobble. She opened her mouth, closed it. The rehearsed excuses she always had. They weren't coming. Not here, not now. I whispered to my daughter. Watch closely, sweetheart. This is the truth. Mom, she started, voice small. No, let them speak, I said, a calm I didn't fully feel. Inside my heart was pounding. This was everything I needed. My mother always had a way of twisting things. I heard my cousin say, remember the time she told the neighbors we were moving abroad, just to make us look ungrateful? She did that? My daughter gasped, her little eyebrows knitting together. I nodded. Yes, she did. And the scholarship incident. Another cousin jumped in. She convinced the principal to give it to her son instead of you. The room was silent. My mother's face drained of color. Her eyes darted around, hunting for allies, but everyone was staring at her. Not with fear, not with awe, with quiet, unflinching judgment. I let the silence stretch. I let it burn. Finally, she whispered, that Sep's not true. You star lying. I smiled faintly, almost imperceptibly. Am I? Or are you finally seeing yourself through everyone else Sep's eyes? Tears welled up in my daughter Sep's eyes. She leaned against me. I pulled her close. It's Sep's okay, baby. We Sep's safe now. You always played favorites, manipulated situations, made sure you were the hero in your own story, Uncle Jamal said, voice steady but heavy. But everyone else. Just pawns. My mother's lips trembled. She opened and closed her mouth like a fish out of water. She began, but Aunt Farah cut her off. Stop. Just stop. We Stev all seen enough. No more lies. The truth hung in the air, sharp and undeniable. I felt a strange rush, a mix of relief and sorrow. Relief for finally seeing the mask fall. Sorrow for the years lost, the trust broken. I reached for the wine glass in front of me, turning it over in my hands. You see, Mom? I said softly. Revenge isn't set about humiliation, it's never been about that. She blinked, confused, hurt. It's steps about exposing the truth, letting the world and yourself see what you have done, letting it live in the open where it can step be hidden anymore. My daughter's small hand found mine again. I squeezed it. Do you understand, Mom? The games you played, the manipulations, the favoritism, it all ends tonight. Not because I humiliate you, but because the truth can still be taken back. Her silence was the loudest sound in the room. I looked around at the relatives. Faces softened, nods exchanged. No one cheered, no one laughed, just acknowledgement, recognition. Finally, I murmured to myself, almost in a whisper. My mother sank into her chair. The crown she wore so proudly for decades slipped, unnoticed by everyone but me, and in that moment I realized revenge wasn't about power over her, it was about power within me. The clarity, the liberation. My daughter smiled faintly, her eyes reflecting mine. We did it, Mommy. Yes, baby, I said. We did it. And for the first time in years, I felt the weight lift. The mask was gone, the truth was out, and the world finally could breathe without lies. The house was quiet when I stepped in. Too quiet. My daughter was in her room, coloring, humming softly, safe for now. I found her in the kitchen, my mother sipping tea like nothing had happened. Her eyes flicked up. Ah, you such home early. I didn't answer. I just leaned against the counter. Let the silence stretch. She tried to smile. Weak, forced. I wanted to talk about everything. I let her stew for a moment. Breathe, watch her squirm under my gaze. Everything? I asked. Voice low, steady. You mean leaving her in the rain? She flinched. I didn't set think. Didn't set think, I repeated. My hands clenched at my sides. My nails dug into my palms. Do you know what that night felt like? Watching her shiver, tiny fists balled in her coat, teeth chattering, I thought she was going to stop breathing. And you just walked away. Her face drained. I was late. I got caught up. I cut her off. Caught up? In what? Your ego? Your excuses? She opened her mouth, then closed it. She couldn't finish. I leaned forward. Do you even remember the hours we spent trying to get her warm? The bath, the blankets, the crying. She asked me over and over if you loved her. And I lied. I told her you did. Tears stung my eyes, but I didn't look away. I had to see this, see her face, see if any guilt reached her. I, I didn't mean, she whispered. Weak, pathetic. Didn't mean, I repeated. My voice rose, not with anger but with precision, each word cutting. Your didn't mean left her soaked. Your didn't mean left her scared. Your didn't mean left me terrified. Nights of pacing, nights of praying she'd forget. And you didn't mean anything. Each of them you and mean anything. She flinched. Her hands shook. She gripped the edge of the counter like it could hold her up. I kept all the evidence, I said calmly, watching her crumble. Messages, witnesses, the raincoat you left behind. I have it all, every lie, every manipulation, every time you tried to hide what you did. Her lips parted, no words coming. I took a deep breath. I didn't set come here to yell. I didn't set come here to hit you. I came here to show you the truth. To let it sink in, to let your own conscience do the work. She laughed nervously. You such are overreacting. It was a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. I shook my head. No. Not everyone. Not like this. Not with a child. Not when your actions leave scars you can see but can never erase. She tried another excuse. I didn't set no she set be out that long. I slammed my hand on the counter. Just once. Enough for the sound to echo. Not at her. At the memory of that night. You knew exactly what would happen. That sup's why I saved everything. That sup's why I prepared. You think apologies are enough. Words are useless now. Only truth counts. She swallowed hard. Her eyes flicked to the papers on the table. Bank statements. Frozen accounts. My daughter's savings safely untouched. But hers. Gone. Locked. A reminder she couldn't deny. You froze it? She asked, voice shaking. I nodded. Actions have consequences. Every single one. You can just walk through life leaving chaos behind, expecting nothing to happen, expecting no one to fight back. She sank into a chair, defeated, her tea untouched, her carefully built defenses gone. I stepped closer, voice softening, but only enough to let the gravity hit. Do you understand what fear feels like, Mom? Not the polite kind, the paralyzing kind, the kind where your child looks to you and sees danger instead of safety. That's what you made her feel, and now, you're feeling a fraction of it back. She tried to speak. I didn't. Stop, I said. Stop. Just stop pretending. You don't get to excuse it anymore. Not with me. Not with her. And not with yourself. She looked at me. For the first time, no mask. Just shame. Panic. Guilt. I turned, placing the papers, the frozen account on the counter between us. This isn't sept about punishment. It's sept about reflection. It's sept about seeing the truth, feeling it, living with it. For once in your life, you have to face what you sept done, not to me, not to the family, but to yourself. Her hands hovered over the papers, trembling. Her voice cracked. I don't know what to say. I shook my head slowly. You don't have to, just feel it, let it burn, let it sink in. That sep's the first step to realizing that life doesn't forgive carelessly. She nodded faintly, tears streaming. Silent, finally silent. I exhaled, my body released the tension I didn't know I'd been holding. Rage, pain, heartbreak, all funneled into one confrontation, one moment of pure clarity. I stepped back, smoothing my dress, gathering my composure. I done what I needed to do. Now, it's your turn to live with what you done. I leave her out of it, she doesn't deserve this. But you do. She couldn't meet my eyes, she had nothing left to defend. No excuses, no lies, just the raw, cold truth. I turned, walking out of the kitchen. My daughter ran to me, safe, warm, loved. I whispered, holding her close. It's over, baby. Over for us. But for her, she carry this forever. And for the first time, I felt rage transformed into catharsis. I didn't need her to apologize. I didn't need her to cry. I just needed the truth to land. And it had. Time has a strange way of showing consequences. I watched her from across the room one afternoon. My mother, sitting stiffly, hands folded, eyes darting everywhere but at me or my daughter. There was a tension there, an unspoken admission of guilt. I didn't need words to see it. I wanted to talk, she began. Her voice was softer now, less defensive, more unsure. I didn't answer immediately. I let her words hang, felt the weight of them. My daughter, she grown, she added quietly. And I? You? I asked, eyebrow raised. What do you want? I want to make things right, she said. But even as she spoke, I could hear the tremor in her tone. Fear, hesitation, the kind that comes when a lifetime of excuses finally collapses on itself. I nodded slowly. You realize some things can be fixed. Trust once broken doesn't just patch back together. She winced. I know. You left her in the rain, Mom, I said, voice steady but low, and you can take that back. No words, no gifts, no hugs. She remembers. I remember. I don't even know if she forgive you. I don't know if I can. She swallowed, eyes moist. I could see the shame reflected there, the helplessness, the realization that no amount of charm or manipulation could undo the past. I didn't understand, she whispered. I thought it would be fine. I shook my head. Fine? You left her scared, helpless, and me exhausted. Nights pacing, tears I couldn't stop, guilt I carried like armor. You never saw it, did you? Her hands trembled. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. I held up my hand, stopping her mid-apology. Don't sut. Not yet. Not until you see, until you really feel the weight of what you did. That sup's the only lesson here. She nodded, silent, finally silent. Days passed, weeks. I noticed her changing, not fully, not perfectly, but small shifts. Less bravado, more hesitation, eyes that avoided casual lies, a tremor in her voice when she spoke to my daughter. I felt a twinge of pity, strange, unwanted, but real. One evening, she knelt on the floor, attempting to braid my daughter's hair. I want to help, she said. My daughter glanced up at me. Mommy? I smiled faintly. Watch. Just watch. The braid was messy, uneven, but my daughter laughed anyway, a little giggle that bounced through the room. My mother looked up at me, ashamed, frustrated, helpless. I, I've been trying, she said. I nodded. I see that. And that sips enough, for now. I felt satisfaction. Not joy, not glee, just the quiet, firm knowledge that balance had returned. Karma hadn't been loud, it hadn't been cruel. It had been precise, subtle, correct. I know she may never forgive me, she admitted, voice barely audible. Maybe, I said. But she doesn't stet have to. That stet's not your right. And honestly, that stet's okay. She looked down, twisting her hands together. I wish I could change everything. I exhaled slowly. We all wish that sometimes, but change doesn't start erase what's does, done. It only guides what comes next. She nodded, eyes distant. I understood. She was learning the hardest lesson of all, that some walls, once cracked, never fully rebuild. I watched her leave the room that night. A softer walk, less certain, but still, moving forward, and I realized something: revenge isn't about hatred. Not anymore. It's about balance. About reclaiming control, about ensuring that your life and the life of the ones you love isn't dictated by someone else's cruelty. I tucked my daughter into bed later. Her small arms curled around me. We're safe now, right? She whispered. Yes, baby, I said, kissing her forehead. We stir safe, and nothing, no one will take that away again. I thought of my mother. The fear, the shame in her eyes, the helplessness she now carried. And I understood it was enough. That was the universe's justice. Not humiliation, not punishment, just truth. She would live with it, and I would live with the knowledge that I had survived, that my daughter had survived, that we had taken the power back. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't peace, but it was real. And after all the chaos, all the lies, all the nights of dread, it was enough. I closed my eyes, feeling the quiet, the balance, the stillness after the storm. Revenge had done its job, not through hate, not through anger, through clarity, through reclaiming what was ours. And for the first time in years, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Freedom. The storm had passed. Not outside, inside us. I sat on the couch watching my daughter twirl around the living room, her laughter spilled like sunlight through the cracks that once held only fear. Mommy, look, she said, arms stretched, spinning. I smiled. Careful, sweetheart, you s'll get dizzy. She giggled, collapsing into my lap. But I like dizzy. It means I sem free. Her words pierced me, simple, pure, but heavy with meaning. Free, I repeated, stroking her hair. Yes, we are free now. For months I carried the weight of anger, rage that clawed at my chest, ready to tear me apart. But watching her laugh again, I realized something. Power doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. Do you miss her? My daughter asked suddenly, eyes searching mine. The question hit harder than I expected. Your grandma? She nodded. I paused. I don't set miss who she pretended to be, but I pity who she really is, and pity is stronger than hate. She tilted her head. So, you are not mad anymore? I smiled faintly. No. I am not mad. I stum stronger. Her little hand pressed against my cheek. I set'm stronger too. That's when I felt it. The shift. Not revenge. Not payback. Balance. Boundaries. I thought of the frozen account. Numbers locked behind screens. To outsiders, it was punishment. To me, it was something else. A symbol, proof that betrayal had consequences. Proof that I would never again allow anyone to play God with our lives. Mommy, she whispered, when it rains. I still remember. I don't set like it. I pulled her closer. I know. I remember too, but you know what rain really is? She shook her head. Rain is survival. It tried to break us, but we stood through it, and now when it falls, we don't set hide. We watch. We remember we made it out. Her eyes widened. So the rain is ours now? I smiled through tears. Yes, baby, the rain is ours. Silence lingered, a silence I welcomed, not heavy, not cruel, just quiet, like peace had finally walked into the room and sat with us. She leaned her head on my chest. You stir the best protector, Mommy. My throat tightened. And you stir my reason. I closed my eyes, inhaling her warmth. I had been broken, yes, flawed, angry, but also reborn, not through forgiveness, not through forgetting, but through resilience. I used to think revenge meant destroying someone. I admitted aloud, almost to myself. But I learned, revenge is protecting what matters so no one can destroy it again. She looked up at me, curious. And we won, right? I nodded firmly. Yes, we won because we slept safe. Because we laugh again. Because we don't need her approval. Her excuses, her control. She grinned. Then we were warriors. A laugh slipped out of me. Raw. Real. Yes, baby. Warriors. I stood walking toward the window. Rain tapped gently against the glass. Not a storm. Just a drizzle. Soft. Harmless. I touched the cold pane. My reflection stared back at me. Not the broken, desperate woman I once was, but someone else. Someone harder. Smarter. Still scarred, but alive. I whispered to myself. You survived. You changed. Behind me, my daughter called, Mommy, dance with me in the rain next time. I turned, smiling. Yes, next time we still dance. Not hide. Not cry. Dance. She clapped, bouncing on the couch. Deal. I felt a surge of pride. Fierce quiet. The kind that burns steady instead of exploding. For so long, the rain had haunted me. Now it was just water. Proof we endured. Proof we didn't break. I crouched in front of her, taking her small hands in mine. Listen to me, sweetheart. No one will ever decide our worth again. Not family. Not strangers. Not anyone. We set the boundaries. We write the rules. Do you understand? She nodded. Serious. I understand. I kissed her forehead. Good. That sips how we stay free. The storm outside faded into nothing but mist. The storm inside us had already gone. And in its place? Balance. Strength, the kind no one could take. The frozen account still sat in her name, untouched. To me, it wasn't about the money. It was about respect. About drawing a line no one could cross again. About teaching her and myself that we were worth protecting. I looked down at my daughter, her laughter echoing again, and I realized the sweetest revenge wasn't loud. It was this. This peace. This freedom. This love that no storm could wash away. The rain no longer haunted us. It reminded us of survival, of boundaries, of the battle we fought and won, not with fists, not with fire, but with patience, silence, and strength. I whispered, almost like a vow. We rose from the rain, and we shall never drown again. My daughter squeezed my hand. Never, she said, her voice steady. And together, we sat in the quiet. No fear, no shadows, just the stillness after the storm. For the first time, I wasn't looking back. I was looking forward, felt unstoppable.